a while and to allow all of the voices to sink in. It's powerful that we did this in this way, because the voice of King has come through each one of you. Different voice, but about the same message. Different voice, but the same power. And we give thanks for that power, because we need to remind the nation as King reminded us. We need to remind the nation that you cannot progress in a constant diet of violence and war and destruction. You can't progress as a people in barbarity when we're called to be civilized, when we're called to settle things in different kinds of ways. And so, again, I give thanks to Veterans for Peace for standing here today and reminding us what we all need to do to truly be engaged in remembering memorials, remembering what Memorial Day is about. It's not the glorification of war, but it is the hope for peace. It is not the glorification of violence, but it is the hope that we might create a just world. Right now, all across the country for that matter, but we had a guy who was just commissioned as a second lieutenant in College Park, Maryland, that was stabbed to death by a white supremacist. Right. You had folks who were stabbed to death on a train in Portland, Oregon, for trying to defend somebody from the ranting and raving, or somebody who was concerned about the other. All across the country, in Virginia, just over the bridge, there were racist posters that were wheat pasted all over lampposts that were taken down. We're witnessing this kind of stuff that we thought that we had dealt with a long time ago, but we find out that the hatred, the white supremacy, the violence, the threat, and the fear of other is still upon us, and it has been exacerbated by this mouthpiece in the White House. Yeah. Who seems also bent on taking us to war, a new war, and this seems to be bent upon spending and selling arms to everybody under the sun to engage in another arms race that also precipitates the violence, because once you got them, as they say, you gotta use them. Nobody buys weapons just to store. Nobody's giving weapons just to store. But what we're concerned about sisters and brothers. We're concerned about sisters and brothers not having to go to war and die because somebody is trying to profiteer. We're concerned that in this country, in this world, that racism seems to continue to be a resurgent force. And we desire, as people of goodwill and love, to put it back down, to put it back in the place that it needs to be, where the sun doesn't shine on it. Sisters and brothers, we need to be the people that stand as a unified force and voice and speak about justice and love, that I'm not afraid of somebody who's different than I am. In fact, I'm called to love somebody who is different than I am, and maybe I might grow and become a better human being as a result. I'll tell you this story. With all of the Islamophobia, we took our members from my church down to a mosque to have a discussion. And it was prayer time, and folks say, well, look at me, and they say, well, what do we do? I said, you take your shoes off and you get in prayer line. That was Christians praying shoulder to shoulder with Muslims. Because we got to remember, it's the same ideals of justice and hope. It's the same ideals of one God that created heavens and earth, and we did not create ourselves. But we get caught up in this myth that we think that we are our own destiny keepers and our own destiny makers. We need to become humble before our Creator, and humble before each other, and recognize that that is the way that we bring about peace and justice. Thank you, Veterans for Peace.